Hey everyone, welcome to another Mastering the Draw License Application Strategy video. And in today's video, we're going to be doing a basic overall rundown of the Arizona draw system. And we'll talk about draw allocation, where it comes to the preference draw versus the random draw, how many, what the percentage is of tags that go in each, how they run their point system and how those points affect where you're at and how they help in some of the draws. And then touch on party applications, how many you can put in with, fees, things like that. So let's dive in. So as far as the draw allocation goes for resident versus non-resident, you've got a basic 90-10 split. 90% of those tags will be issued to residents, up to 10% can be issued to non-residents. And that's for all species. The difference is bison and sheep is on a species tag quota, and the deer, elk, and antelope, bear is on a hunt quota. So we'll touch on that a little bit more as we go on in a later slide. But javelina, there's no quota for non-residents. I mean, there's no split there. It's just whoever gets the tag, gets the tag. Now, once we get into the different draws, there's basically two draws, the bonus pass and the first and second pass. The bonus pass we refer to as a max point draw. 20% of the overall number of tags will be issued in this draw, and up to 5% of the non-resident quota can be issued here. It doesn't have to be 5, sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 4, but up to 5%, so that's only half of the non-resident quota, and they reserve the other half to be issued in the first and second pass, which we typically refer to as the random draw. Now, anyone that doesn't draw a tag in that bonus pass will be pushed into this first and second pass, and now you'll be eligible to have a chance in that. They do, for the amount of points you have, for every point you have, you do get an extra chance for each one of those points. So it does increase, your odds of drawing based on the number of points you have in that random draw. So it's not totally random. So now we'll jump into the point system for sheep and bison, and it's a little different than deer, elk, and antelope in that they issue these as a 10%, 90% resident, non-resident split, like for the quota. But what happens is there's so few tags typically for these species that they have to issue it based off of the overall number of tags for that species instead of hunt specific. So if you have 100 tags for sheep, only 10 of those can go to non-residents. You still have the up to 5% in the max point draw or the bonus pass, and the rest of them can be issued in the random. And typically for non-residents, most of them are issued in the random because residents have a lot more points than non-residents on average. But one thing to keep in mind is, and we detail this a little bit further in our monthly magazine, our publication that we put out, but when it comes to sheep, and a little bit for bison, but when it comes to sheep mostly, pay attention to some of these units, because what can happen is where it's issued as a species quota, some of these units like 22, 24B South, sometimes 24B North, where there's only 2 tags or maybe even 3 tags available in this unit, all of those can be gobbled up in that bonus pass. So you want to make sure if you don't have max points that you put in for those units that typically have tags that are drawn in the random draw. Otherwise, you could put in and be drawing dead. And what I'm saying is if you don't have max points to grab that tag in that top point draw or that max point draw, and all of those tags are gone, they run that draw before they run the random draw. So if all those tags are gone and you have 22 as your first choice and 24B South as your second choice for sheep, there's a good chance that your application is null and void because all of those tags are going to be gone. So just make sure you remember that, especially for sheep. When you do go into the random draw, again, any points you have accumulated, you get an extra chance in the random draw. Typically, it's so hard to draw anyways, and it's so competitive for those tags. That doesn't do you a lot of good, but it does give you a few extra names in the bucket to try and draw. So if you don't draw, you get another point, you live to fight another day, and it's that $15 application fee you paid covers that point. So once we bump down into elk, deer, and antelope, those are issued off of a hunt total. Antelope, it's a little bit trickier because there is very few tags for antelope in certain situations. So they're based off of a hunt total and a species total as well. So, but that's the only difference between the two draws. Sheep and bison are issued off of a species overall total, and elk, deer, and antelope are issued based off of a hunt total. So there's 30 tags in that unit. For that hunt, there can be up to 3 of those issued to non-residents, and that's how they get their 10%, 90% split. One thing to remember and take note of, and this applies to any hunt, whether it's sheep, bison, antelope, elk, what have you. You typically don't see it in elk and deer, but when you will see it in bison, in sheep and antelope, when there's one tag for a hunt, and that's all there is, regardless of the species total, if there's only one tag for that hunt, Arizona will still technically let a non-resident apply for that tag, but that's drawing dead. You're not eligible to draw that. So if there's only one tag for the hunt, the only people that are eligible to draw that are residents. So just remember that, because there's other information that would suggest otherwise out there, but that's not the case. If there's one tag for that hunt, the only people that are eligible to draw that are residents. So just keep a note of that. When it comes to party applications, Arizona will let you apply as a group of 4 for all species, but one thing to keep in mind is for sheep and bison, there is hardly ever enough tags. Sheep, there's never enough tags. I would put antelope in this same bracket for the most part, except a few units out there, a few hunts out there. But typically, antelope, sheep, and bison, there is never enough tags to apply as a party. So if you do put in as a party, just remember there has to be enough permits in that draw that you get pulled for to satisfy your group. If there's less than that available, you won't draw. They'll kick your application out and go to the next one that only has a single applicant on it. So an example would be, say there's 30 tags available and you apply as a group. Now, if you're drawing the first one out of the hat in the random draw and you're a group of 2, you can get both tags. If they've already drawn one application in that random draw and they draw yours on the next one, but there's a group of 2, but there's only one tag, that means you're pushed aside and they draw another application until they get a single applicant. So on the flip side of that, if you apply and you have enough points to be drawn in the max point draw, let's say that typically takes 10 points to draw that hunt and you put in with 14. So even though you might be the first name out of the hat or the first application out of the hat in the max point draw, because if there's only 3 non-resident tags available, only one of those will be issued in the max point draw. So you have a party that just got drawn, they're just gonna take that and they're gonna say, well, there's only one tag available, push that to the side, and now they're gonna grab another application until they come up with a single applicant, and then they'll take that. So important to remember, there has to be enough tags where you apply for to satisfy your group. So it really comes in, like, you really got to pay attention to that, especially for these highly sought after rut hunts for elk, deer hunts, like, anyways, just pay attention to those tag totals. So now let's get into some of the fees that you have to pay in order to apply. So the big one is your hunt fish license. You have to have that in order to apply in Arizona. It's $160. That has to be valid through the draw deadline day. As long as it's valid through that day, it's fine, that will work. Just remember, if you do end up drawing a tag, you will have to purchase another hunting license to carry with you in the field. Every application in that draw is gonna be another 15 bucks. So every other application, as long as you have a valid license, it's just $15 for each one of those applications. As always, I hope you found this video helpful. And if you do have any questions on this or any of the other Western state draws, remember, if you're a member of Huntin' Full, you can call in and talk to us and ask us questions. We're happy to help you out. And if you need help on your license, like on your application side, we do have a license application service where we will handle all of your license application needs, and we'll put you in for some of these draws if you just don't have time or feel like it's a little overwhelming. So if you did find this video helpful, informational, remember to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.